So
Right.
Google, how does one get in, well, like, find submission, whatever.
So
And
in lieu of a relationship, you were getting paid.
so, what?
You were getting paid.
To bend over and take a whacking for an hour.
How much is that?
Which I found $100 and $120 an hour, unless the prices have gone up, which probably they did. Stop.
$30 here.
That'll get you 5 minutes.
So that's all I need. But no, anyway, so no, go ahead.
I'd say more
Oh, no,
like,
no, no. This is getting too serious. This is fun. Comedy.
No, no.
So let me see if I can make this funny.
You don't have to make it fun. Just tell me what happened. So you wanted to experiment.
Yeah,
How
I
did you-
couldn't, and so the next thing on the checklist when I was looking up what to do and how to get into it was, oh, here, you can become a professional submissive and no sex involved, and okay.
Yeah.
And so the mindset switched completely, and then it just became an experiment. And there was absolutely no sexual exchange whatsoever. And so I started like wondering what the fuck all of this was, and does what I envision actually exist?
a relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
None of, yeah. And so I met some really, really awesome women during my time, and they mentored me and introduced me to people, and shortly thereafter I quit the dungeon, and yeah, we'll leave it at that. Let's go back to Master Arcane.
Did you ever manage to find a good DS relationship?
No, never.
Not yet.
Correct, not yet. Not yet.
So and what you needed was a 20-year-old woman, apparently,
Maybe.
willing to experiment like you, a little older woman.
Or a couple of couples.
Yeah, they have a website called arcaneadvice.com, and if you go there, there's a couple articles about how to find somebody, what to look for, how to qualify them.
See, now I know all of this, but it's been so long from the initial spark.
This is what I was curious about. Do you have that wanting?
That's a good question because it so resonates with all of these other aspects of my life. But the answer to that question is yes. Have I given up on thinking that I will find that? Yes.
Oh, why? Don't give up.
Oh.
We were having this conversation. This is getting serious, but we were having this conversation.
This is getting good.
But serious. We don't want to be serious.
No, we're gonna talk about cat face and all that shit later. Don't worry about it.
No, I want to go back to
We're gonna go back. Don't see. Don't tell me how to run my show.
You're right. I'm so sorry.
Don't tell me how to run my show.
I'm sorry.
I will tell you. I will ask you the questions. See, that's nice. Anyway, Master.
Yes.
You have an advice column. I glanced past it.
Mm-hmm.
But what would be your advice to find a relationship like this, or is that necessary?
Is it necessary?
Yeah.
It's not a matter of necessity. It's a matter of desire. Pure desire. If it's someone's passion, if this is what a person wants out of life, is to explore domination, submission, or BDSM. It kind of depends where they're coming from. So
Do you need to be in a relationship, or do you?
It's not that you have to be in a relationship, but if you find someone who makes a good complement, the other side of the coin, you're probably both going to advance and progress together,
Right.
in a nice way.
Mm-hmm.
And if it has an actual emotional bond, it gets even better. Like when I'm teaching dominance, I kind of really push. It has to come from a kind-hearted, heart-centered space. Doesn't mean you can't be crazy intense.
Right.
And you can play games that are all about fear and scaring the other person, but you're both into it, obviously. Right. But fundamentally, on a foundational level, the dominant needs to come from a good place, a place that you want to see the other person grow and become more. And if you're going to have this power over them in a daily kind of sense, in a relationship kind of sense, you got kind of responsibility, big responsibility, actually, capital R, to be looking over them and thinking, what can I do that's going to make them a little bit more or better or healthier of a person each day, even just a little bit.
See, and I get that vibe from you, and I get that vibe from Orpheus, I get that vibe from Damon. The people that I know that are in the scene, and I'm really I'm a dilettante. I'm never really, outside of a little spanking, a little tying up. I haven't really gotten too serious about it. But you guys are always about bringing the person up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
No,
but not everybody's like that.
Well, but in the games, we're talking about like in a relationship sense.
Right.
In the games, like one of the most fascinating kinks to me
Mm-hmm.
is humiliation. I've only ever had one single slave
Right.
who was actually into it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's I tell people humiliation play is the most complicated toy that there is.
Right.
Because
Don't fuck with
people's
that shit.
well, it's not
I mean, if you don't know.
if you
Right.
don't know.
Right.
Or start really, really, really lightly.
Yeah.
But the flip side is, I have this friend who was a dominatrix from England. She came over with her male slave,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy was so into humiliation play. And he was a proper, successful businessman, really cool, fun guy. And we went to a fetish club up in San Francisco, and she just drilled into him, and people were standing around, and she was laying into him and just tearing him a new one verbally and just ripping him apart with humiliation. And after it, and you could just see the smile get bigger and bigger and bigger. And
On his face and hers.
on both of them.
Really?
On both of them. Oh yeah. And afterwards, we're driving around. I said, "You got to explain this to me." And he said, "The more people who witness it, the more he enjoys it, the more he gets off on it." And again, this is like just a normal dude you'd be hanging out with, and
Right.
very eloquent too, which is nice. So he could explain it very, very clearly. And so you can have games like that. If the people are into that, that's both people's kink, and they both negotiated. That's how they want to play, and that's how hard they want to go. That's awesome. But the other side we're talking about is the daily relationship side,
Right.
which kind of needs to be thought of as a garden. You know, both dominant and submissive are the gardeners, and they both have to work on it and keep it healthy and keep the weeds out, just like in any healthy relationship.
Mhm.
It's still a relationship, you know, you still have
Yeah.
normal. But the thing also is that in BDSM relationships and DS relationships, things that vanilla couples take for granted we cannot do. We can't. Vanilla couples will get in an argument and they'll go silent on each other for 3 weeks. You can't do that in a DS relationship. You have to have really good communication. You have to constantly be talking and debriefing. I just gave a speech in Atlanta on my belief that the BDSM community can present a role model for modern social maturity. All of these things we're hearing about consent violations. So, without even taking a side,
Right.
imagine if you know the Aziz Ansari
So
story.
hashtag Me Too, all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
When, and of course Harvey Weinstein, who doesn't know about
Oh,
that?
yeah.
But
Piece of shit. And now,
but
now we're at the
imagine-
Nerdist studio, Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So pushing the Harvey Weinstein situation aside, because that was kind of
Yeah, he's just an ass, yeah.
okay. But look at the Aziz Ansari story,
Right.
and imagine if they had grown up in the same world that BDSM people for decades have been checking in with each other, making sure we're on the same page, having safe
Mhm.
words, negotiating before we play. This is all before we play. So imagine if those guys had grown up in a world where they did the same thing. So Aziz Ansari takes her girl back to his apartment, and he says, "So, what are you into?"
Right.
That simple little conversation, you know. So again, I'm thinking that this is what I'm saying. BDSM and a lot of stuff we do in the BDSM world, DS world, makes a good role model for the world to evolve from where it is now
Right.
into a more conscientious relationship-oriented lifestyle for everybody, not just BDSM. Even if people are not into BDSM, just the verbal, the communication practice.
But I've seen people in the community that aren't as evolved as you,
Right.
that have had,
Well-
they're just as Me Too as anybody else.
Yeah. There's
And
not.
not only that, they take advantage of the
Yes.
fact that
Yeah.
somebody, I'm sorry if it's, you know,
No,
close to heart. But yeah, I
no,
mean,
but
just to
it's
take
so
advantage of
true.
people that,
Yeah, not everybody in the scene is an angel. That's just a fact.
right.
But you know, if
And it's a
people-
power play, I mean, it
But
is,
if people like myself and Damon and Orpheus, if we can get out there and teach people that, hey, not only can this be amazing for both people,
yes,
not only can it be beautiful for both people,
right,
you can make sure it's easy to make sure that both people come away having had a great time.
right.
And we just kind of take a lot of pleasure in teaching people this and letting them know that, hey, you really can make this great for everybody involved.
What's the strangest safe word that you've ever had to use? You got
I'll
something on
tell-
your mind
I'll
right
tell
now, I
you-
know.
I'll tell you the funniest safe word I ever
Yeah,
heard.
let's hear this.
Okay, so this guy teaches a workshop, and he has someone volunteer from the audience to come up on stage. He says, okay, so we got to be very careful with this. So I want you to remember that no matter how hard I go, you can stop this with one safe word, and that safe word is more. So anything you say for it, most people use red, yellow, green.
Right.
Somebody I actually know, I can't remember who it is, used the word spoon. That was their safe word. They didn't have multiple. Yeah, I know, it's like the cliche story.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you said you were dating a competitive motorcycle racer,
Yeah.
or she was your sub.
yeah.
I say dating, but I guess it was your sub.
She's my slave, yeah.
So you're a slave.
Yeah, fully contracted, collared, the whole 10 deal.
Okay. Okay. And for people that don't know what that is, that's
It's a